The Alchemy of Adversity, Transforming Pain into Power. Welcome to the Soft Girl era, where we explore the sacred journey from survival to softness. Today, I'm honored to share wisdom that might just transform how you view your own struggles and strength wisdom that comes from my profound conversation with Christina Jones, a visionary healer whose work has revolutionized how Black women approach resilience and rest. Christina isn't just a thought leader, she's a soul liberator. Her groundbreaking work has created safe harbors for thousands of Black women who've been drowning in the expectations of perpetual strength. Through her healing circles, her writing, and her fearless advocacy, Christina has sparked a movement that's rippling across communities, challenging the very foundation of how we view vulnerability, especially for those who've never been permitted to show it. Have you ever noticed our collective obsession with pain avoidance? We're surrounded by it. Numbing creams, distracting devices, entire industries built on helping us forget what hurts. We're taught from childhood that pain is the enemy, something to run from, hide from, medicate away. But what if, and I want you to really stay with me here, what if the very experiences that wound us most deeply could become our greatest source of power? I'm not peddling toxic positivity. I won't ask you to Instagram filter your trauma or pretend your suffering is somehow a blessing in disguise. What I'm talking about is something Christina Jones illuminated so beautifully in our conversation: the genuine alchemy of adversity. Alchemy, the ancient practice of transforming base metals into gold, serves as the perfect metaphor for resilience. It's the mysterious, sometimes painful process of transforming ordinary suffering into extraordinary strength. During my conversation with Christina, three powerful truths emerged that I'm compelled to share with you today. First, resilience isn't something we're born with, it's born from adversity itself. Second, stepping up for family and community, even when it feels overwhelming, can become a profound source of empowerment. And third, breaking cycles of abuse and choosing self love is perhaps the most revolutionary act any of us can undertake. Let's start with the resilience. Christina emphasized that no matter how devastating your circumstances, you can discover strength and purpose in the very act of overcoming them. This isn't inspirational fluff, it's evidence in the lives of extraordinary women whose stories validate this truth. Consider Dr. Maya Angelou. Before she became the voice that moved nations, before she wrote words that would echo through generations, Maya Angelou was a little girl named Marguerite who experienced sexual trauma so profound that she stopped speaking entirely for nearly 5 years. 5 years of silence. But in that silence, something remarkable was brewing, something powerful. She was developing what Christina Jones would recognize as the roots of true resilience. After experiencing her own trauma and becoming a single mother at a young age, Angelou didn't just survive, she transformed. She worked multiple jobs, including becoming San Francisco's first Black female streetcar conductor. She found healing through literature, through community support, through the radical act of self expression. When she finally published I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, she wasn't merely telling her story. She was shattering barriers for Black women writers everywhere. She was turning her deepest pain into transcendent purpose. This is precisely what Christina means when she says resilience is born from adversity. It's not that suffering itself is good, it's that our response to suffering can become our superpower. But here's where it gets fascinating, and where Christina's second insight illuminates something profound. Sometimes resilience isn't just about overcoming our own challenges, sometimes it's about stepping up for others, even when we feel completely overwhelmed by the responsibility. This brings me to Oprah Winfrey's remarkable journey. Before she became the media icon we recognize today, Oprah was a young girl shuttling between households, experiencing abuse, and carrying responsibilities far beyond her years. When she moved to Nashville to live with her father, he emphasized education and discipline. But she was already bearing the weight of her traumatic past. Rather than collapsing under that weight, she transformed it into fuel. She pursued education with fierce determination. She developed her authentic voice through media. She cultivated a network of mentors and friends who recognized her extraordinary potential. And then something remarkable happened. The woman who had once been told she was unfit for television became the first Black female billionaire in history. The girl who had once been made to feel worthless created a platform that has elevated millions of voices. But here's what's truly extraordinary about Oprah's journey and what Christina Jones emphasized in our conversation. Oprah didn't just overcome adversity for herself, she stepped up for her entire community. She established schools for girls in South Africa. She tackled taboo topics on her show that gave voice to the silenced. She transformed her matriarchal leadership into a force for global transformation. This is the power of stepping up. Even when it feels overwhelming, it doesn't just change your life, it can literally change the world. Now, let's explore Christina's third insight, which might be the most powerful of all. You can break cycles of abuse and choose self love as an act of revolution. Tarana Burke's story embodies this truth with breathtaking clarity. Long before Me Too became a global rallying cry, Burke was a young woman grappling with her own experiences of sexual abuse. She grew up in a community with limited resources and minimal support for survivors. But rather than allowing that cycle to perpetuate, Burke made a courageous choice. She founded Just Being to support young women of color. Later, she launched the Me Too movement to create sacred space for survivors to share their stories and heal collectively. What began as one woman's commitment to breaking a generational cycle has catalyzed increased awareness of abuse, policy changes, and a global conversation about resilience and self love for survivors. Burke's work powerfully reinforces what Christina Jones emphasized in our interview. Walking away from all forms of abuse is an act of courage and self respect. It establishes a new standard, not just for yourself, but for your family and community for generations to come. Now, I can almost hear what some of you might be thinking. These are extraordinary women with exceptional stories. What does this have to do with me? With my everyday struggles? With the weight I carry that nobody sees? Everything. Because here's what Christina Jones wants you to understand in your bones: the same alchemy that transformed their adversity into power is available to you right now, today. You don't need fame. You don't need to write best selling memoirs or host talk shows or launch global movements. You simply need to be willing to view your struggles not as punishments, but as potential. Christina shared a powerful affirmation during our interview that I haven't been able to shake. My wounds are not my weakness, they are the very places from which my wisdom flows. Let that reverberate for a moment. Your wounds are not your weakness, they are the very places from which your wisdom flows. What if you began viewing your life through this transformative lens? What if the very experiences that have hurt you most deeply could become your greatest gifts to offer the world? This isn't about minimizing trauma. It's not about pretending that abuse or abandonment or devastating loss are somehow blessings in disguise. It's about recognizing that while you didn't choose your wounds, you can absolutely choose what you create from them. As Christina Jones so eloquently expressed, resilience isn't about bouncing back to who you were before the pain. It's about growing into someone entirely new because of it. So, what does this mean for you, practically speaking? What does Christina hope you'll do differently after absorbing these insights? First, recognize your own resilience. Take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come, how much you've already overcome. The fact that you're here, listening, breathing, trying, that itself is evidence of your extraordinary strength. Second, Make the courageous choice to walk away from all forms of abuse. This includes not just physical or sexual abuse, but emotional abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse. It encompasses the subtle ways we allow others to diminish us. It includes the ways we abuse ourselves through relentless negative self talk and impossible standards. Third, embrace self love not as an occasional luxury, but as a daily practice, not as selfishness, but as necessity. As Christina reminded us, you cannot pour from an empty cup and you cannot lead from an empty heart. Take one step today, whether seeking support, setting boundaries, or simply affirming your inherent worth to move toward healing and empowerment. In the scripture Christina shared during our conversation, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. This healing isn't just spiritual, it's emotional, physical, communal. And sometimes we are called to participate in our own healing by making choices that honor our fundamental worth. I want to leave you with this truth: the world doesn't need more people pretending they haven't been broken. It needs people who have been shattered and have gathered the fragments to create something more beautiful than before. It needs people who have transformed their deepest wounds into their most extraordinary gifts. Maya Angelou did it, Oprah Winfrey did it, Tarana Burke did it, and according to Christina Jones, so can you. Not because you're superhuman, not because you're unbreakable, but precisely because you're human, because you have been broken, because you have suffered and survived. Your resilience isn't despite your wounds, it's because of them. Your capacity to lead isn't separate from your struggles, it's forged within them. Your ability to love isn't diminished by your pain, it's deepened by it. I challenge you today: look at your scars differently. See them not as evidence of what has hurt you, but as proof of what couldn't destroy you. Let your pain become purpose. Let your struggles become strength. Let your wounds become wisdom. Because in the alchemy of adversity, you aren't just surviving your story, you're becoming the gold that will light the way for others. And that transformation isn't just personal, it's revolutionary.